Hello guys, today I have another Morimens video for you. I'm going over the team that I used in the video where I got a 900,000 damage kill on turn 3. This is that team. There are 3 things that you should know before I really break down the team. The first thing is when I got the 900,000 damage kill, my team was level 60, so you don't have to over level them very much for it to be pretty effective. The second thing is that I've not been able to replicate the 900,000 damage turn. So I got really lucky in that fight. You should probably tone down your expectations a little bit. You could expect 300 to 400,000 damage a turn multiple times in a battle, maybe not multiple turns in a row, but expecting 900,000 every single time you play the team that's just not going to happen. And the third thing is that this team is really not good for boss fights. If there is just a single boss fight or a bunch of elites and then a boss fight, like in Wave 3 and Wave 4 of the Dissolution Tide, this is not going to be a very good experience. This team is best in the arcade mode or in the story mode. So that's where this team really shines, especially because we scale off of having multiple battles in a row, and we scale off of getting multiple relics. So that is everything that you need to know before I start explaining this team. Our main damage dealer is going to be Arachne, and we're going to get most of her damage from the Infinite Threads Pursuit. That consumes a stack of Weaver whenever another character plays a card. We gain stacks of Weaver by playing Eternal Loom, and that gives us Guiding Strings. Guiding Strings, that's what gives us the stacks of Weaver, but we have to play Eternal Loom to get them. And if we use Fate Binding Strings, that makes Eternal Loom produce additional Guiding Strings. The other important thing to know is that in order to actually get the pursuits to trigger, we have to trigger the Singularity Warp effect of her Exalt. There are only 2 ways to do that. Either you Exalt in the Ultra turn, and with this team, we're not going to be able to go to the Ultra turn very often, so that's not going to happen. The other option is we use Annihilation, which has a 3-turn cooldown, and then we Exalt immediately after that. If we use Annihilation and then Exalt, we will still be able to trigger pursuits for the rest of the turn, and we can do this without having to have our Ultra spots full. And most of the time, our Ultra spots will be basically completely empty. So that is the main thing to know about Arachne. She provides a lot of damage buffs, and she can buff cards that go to the Ultra Zone. And the buffing of the cards to the Ultra Zone is really important because we play Casiah, and Casiah has Telekinesis. Telekinesis counts as Strike, and it lets us pick a card from the Ultra space and add it to our hand, reducing its Arithmetic cost by 2. The card that we take out of the Ultra space will have a bunch of damage buffs on it because of Arachne, and so when we play it the second time, it's going to be a lot stronger than when we played it the first time. So we're really trying to pick which cards go into the Ultra space very purposefully, even though most of our cards don't have Leap. But we want to put our highest damage cards, or our highest utility cards, into the Ultra space so we can trigger their effects multiple times in a turn. Her Exalt also draws us 4 cards, which is pretty powerful. And her Poof card allows us to shuffle our hand into our deck and then draw a new hand. This helps if our hand gets full up of just basic strikes, because those aren't super powerful for our build, so we would rather have other cards in our hand. We have Ryker, and he has 2 really powerful cards for us, as well as an Exalt that draws us either 1 to 6 cards. So the most powerful card in his kit is Unexpected Gain. We deal 1 instance of damage, and then we choose 1 card from our draw pile and put it into our hand. If the damage that we dealt was a critical hit, we reduce the chosen card's arithmetic cost by 2. This lets us get Eternal Loom to get Guiding Strings so we can get more Weaver stacks, and it lets us get Telekinesis to get a card out of the Ultra space, or it lets us get one of Mouchette's cards, like Shining Crush, that deals a whole bunch of damage and gives Mouchette a lot of Alimus. So he's basically super useful in getting whatever we need for the situation that we're in. He also has Showdown. It deals damage a random number of times, and if it deals damage at least 6 times, then it gives us a copy of Unexpected Gain with a cost of 0. So this card, it also helps us to get cards out of our deck, but if we have a relic that scales damage based on the number of hits that we do in a turn, then Showdown can scale our strength really high because of those relics. The other thing is both of those cards can go into the Ultra space, and we can pull them out and then play them again to get extra triggers of everything going on and to pull specific cards out of our deck so we can properly sequence combos. And then our sub-damage dealer is Mouchette. So Arachne does burst damage on specific turns if we can trigger her pursuits. Mouchette's going to be dealing a lot of damage all the time. And the reason why is because her Exalt, which we're going to be able to do almost every turn, increases her hit count by 1, and it increases all Awakener strike damage by a flat amount. That flat increase is scaled by damage increases, which in the arcade mode, a lot of relics will give us like a 15 to 30% damage increase. So this was multiplicative with that, and Mouchette scales her critical hit chance and her critical damage off of her death resistance. So she's most likely going to crit, especially with all the buffs that Ryker gives us to crit rate from his relics and from his abilities. So we're going to crit, and then that damage buff is going to multiply on top of the other buffs that we already have. So we're basically multiplying this base damage 2 times, which makes her deal like, I'm talking 20 to 40,000 damage per hit, and she hits a lot. Her Shining Crush deals an amount of damage to a random enemy 5 times. If we have her Exalt out, it deals damage 6 times. Shining Crush counts as a strike, and there's one relic in the arcade mode that makes our strikes hit 2 more times. So we're not going to be hitting 5 times, we're going to be hitting 8 times with 1 card. And then that's going to give us 30 Limus. If we are able to put this into the Ultra Zone, we can pull it out with Telekinesis. It will cost us 1 mana, we can play it again, and it will hit even more times with a damage buff on top of it that is multiplicative with everything that we have going on. And it will hit for a lot. She also has Mortal Blast, which is counted as a strike, and it will generate a temporary copy of the last strike played and reduces arithmetic cost by 1. This lets us get extra copies of Telekinesis to get more things out of the Ultra Space, or extra copies of Shining Crush. And the final thing is that her Exalt card gives us a copy of Mortal Blast right away, and it increases the number of times her Pursuit hits when we trigger it. Her Pursuit is triggered by playing 2 cards, 2 strike cards, and it's going to deal 1 instance of damage equal to 30% of her attack, and it counts as a strike, which means it scales with everything. With her Exalt, it's going to deal 3 instances, and if we have that specific relic that I'm talking about, it'll deal 5 instances of damage every time we play 2 strikes. So this team scales really, really hard because of Mouchette and because of Arachne. I'm going to go over the wheels really quickly, and you'll see why this team is just so powerful in arcade mode. We have 2 wheels that really make things work really well. We have 2 the Stars on Ryker, which is the current event wheel. And the reason why we have 2 SSRs is because we can get to the Stars at the maximum level really easy because it's an event wheel. So for every 1% of sigil yield the wielder, their Wheel of Destinies and Covenants have, you recover 0.3% max HP at the end of the battle. This gives us passive healing if we're able to end the battle quickly. The effect diminishes by 30% at the end of every turn and is calculated individually for each battle. So if we can end a battle on turn 1, which this team is fully capable of doing multiple times in a row, we won't take any damage, which is important, but we'll also heal our HP so that when we go to the boss fight, we'll be at maximum health. The other thing that this wheel does for us is if we choose Perception at the Ashen Ruins is a shop where you get to buy like relics and stuff, and Perception causes us to lose a little bit of HP to gain some black sigils. Well, if we do that, then refreshes at the Ashen Ruins will be free instead of scaling in price. Normally, your first refresh was free, your second refresh costs you 5 sigils, and your third one costs you 10. And if you get a 4th refresh, I'm not sure if you do, it'll cost you like 20. So having 2 the Stars makes everything free, which is really good for us. The other thing that he does is he has Hour of Fortune, which increases your crit rate by 3% for every relic that you get. If you're playing in the arcade mode, you can have like, I don't know if it's 18, but it looks like 18 relics. You can have a lot of relics. And having all those relics will allow Ryker to crit more often, which makes his unexpected gain a lot easier to maintain and to ensure that we get those Arithmetica buffs. The other thing that we have on Casiah is we will meet again because she wants to stack Realm Mastery. The effect of this card is it just, when we trigger Annihilation, we get a copy of one of her cards, which is nice, but it's not super good. But the important card that she has is Birth of a Soul. When we play her strike, we recover a percentage of our lost HP, and if we play one of her defends, we gain a shield equal to a percentage of our current HP. So she's able to provide us a little bit of healing while we're doing a battle, which is able to offset some of the HP loss from Arachne's Guiding Strings, because Guiding Strings makes us lose 2% of our maximum HP. On top of all this that we have going on, for Arachne, we have Eternal Weave and Rhoda Fortuna. Each time that Arachne triggers Pursuit, we get a temporary damage amplification up to 5 times in a turn, which is really nice. And then for Mouchette, we have Doomsday Rampage and Memory Syndrome. Doomsday Rampage gives us a increase in Mouchette's damage every time any character plays a strike, and it can stack up to 8 times. And Memory Syndrome gives us Alimus whenever we play a symptom card. When you're playing arcade mode, you're going to get symptom cards, and a lot of them are actually beneficial to our deck. There are a couple that aren't beneficial. Any ones that make us lose Alimus when we draw them, or if a card costs Alimus, or costs Arithmetica, but draws us cards, we don't want those. But something like Hysteria, which costs us nothing and gives us an Arithmetica when we play it, we want as many copies of that in our deck as we can get. It gives us free Arithmetica. It doesn't contribute to Arithmetica Harmony, which is what makes cards cost 1 more after you play so many of them. It will give Mouchette Alimus. It generates an extra copy of it when we play it, and because we have so much card draw, it basically has no downside, because we're going to end up with more cards in our hand that we can play in a turn no matter what. And then as far as Covenants go for Ryker, we have Scarlet Embrace. This is going to give us a whole bunch of Key Flare. We're scaling critical rate and critical damage and sigil yield on him. For Mouchette, we're going to use Steppenwolf to get the base damage increase, and we're going to scale for her critical rate, critical damage, and death resistance. Also damage amplification if you can get it. For Casiah, we just want Realm Mastery. And then for Arachne, we are also scaling Realm Mastery. We also want a little bit of Alimus regen because she has 150 base Alimus, so exalting with her is a little bit tricky. And then for the Posse, you can use whatever you want. I use A Gun's Cry because it gives us 1 Shining Octahedron dice, which inflicts weakness and vulnerable on the enemies, and can give us a Arithmetica if we roll high enough. But because of Ryker, he will give us an Octahedron die. It's not shining, so its effects are reduced. And because of that, we can use really any Posse that we want to. From the Mist Realm is probably one of the better ones, but other good options include like a Tavern's Opening to get 1 Leia's Coin, which gives us Arithmetica and draws us cards. A Mouse's Wisdom could give us Arithmetica, and there are some other ones in here that will help us out. I will make another video where I go through an actual run in the arcade mode and show you how the team functions and what my thought process is at different decision points when I'm playing with this team.
Said I made up my mind this time. I'm taking it over. Modest tranquility. Said I made up my mind this time. I'm taking it over.
Hate it when my doubts and my fears swell up like the ocean. It feels like I could drown in my tears. Everything's overflowing. Scared that I won't get it right, get it right. My nerves are working overtime, overtime. Tell myself to calm down and breathe. Step out of the shadows into the fire. Don't be afraid to go out on a wire. Live in the moment, turn it up louder. This is what you're made for. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be F-E-A-R-L-E-S-S. Fearless. Once I get in and I put it in drive, ain't no more stopping me, don't even try. Controlling the chaos, controlling the vibe. Yeah. That's all the shots that you don't take. You'll never be heard if you don't say. Just gotta get out your own way. You can't learn to fly on your own if you don't let go. Step out of the shadows into the fire. Don't be afraid to go out on a wire. Live in the moment, turn it up louder. This is what you're made for. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be fearless. You just gotta be F-E-A-R-L-E-S-S. Fearless.
But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for the support that you've shown me in these last couple videos. It's been super encouraging to see just how much you guys are liking it and how much you guys are engaging with my content. And so I'm just really encouraged to see that. I also put a poll up in my community tab. If you could go vote on that, it helps me when I make videos to know what I should do in the future. So if you could just go vote on that real quickly, it would help me out a ton. But that's all I've got. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.